How is it a man like you has no wife?
I do not have the time to give a woman what she deserves. Perhaps when all this is over, I will be able to settle and have a family. I hope.
Oh, if you ever think it's time, make sure I get the first crack.
I promise.
Stand by. Resetting firmware. And operating system failure.
Look out!
Life is not a fairy tale, and there are no happy endings.
Deborah Carter. But for this video I will use her nickname Dobby, because Deborah is such a mouthful and Dobby just reminds me of a Harry Potter character and it's a lot easier to say. Dobby was the daughter of a local merchant who was known for owning a numerous amount of businesses and bankrupting them. His name was Amos Carter and he also had a significant amount of debt. At the age of 10 she became an orphan and started living on the street, and she took up the work as an errand runner, disguising herself as a boy to do so, hence the nickname Dobby. See, women in that era had less influence than men. This is not really uncommon. Throughout our human history, women were less influential and less important than men. Eventually this led to women's civil rights movements and etc. So it makes sense why she was dressed like a boy, so people take her more serious and so she could keep earning money. But many of the tradesmen she worked for knew who she really was and pretended to be fooled by her. Possible at first because they knew she didn't have many other options, and because she was quick, reliable and intelligent. When she became a teenager and reached puberty, her disguise became a joke and so she dropped it. But she kept her nickname and learned how to defend herself. She continued as her work with carrying messages and began to negotiating contracts between businesses. She became something of a community icon, making sure the poor people in the neighborhood had food and clothing, and she also fought against merchants who asked a large amount of money for just the staple items. I'm not being completely figurative when I say she fought merchants. She wasn't averse to throwing a punch or two when it was necessary, particularly in her own defense or the defense of the others in her neighborhood. Eventually this community icon got to meet the assassin Connor Kenway. She suggested working together to take down the merchants who take profit from the war. While Connor was busy taking down the merchants, she was tracking down the man who was responsible for all of this.
I don't know who the man is, but he's not for Patriots nor British. He's got a fortified camp built around the main water supply in the area. All the seized crops, all the meat, everything is being moved there, then resold at dizzying prices.
After assassinating the man in charge, Connor told her he knew these people and he has been fighting against them. She offered her help to him and he accepted. Connor contracted her on several missions and she became a fully fledged assassin. She also helped Connor infiltrating Fort George. She feels good that she can focus her energy on something she wants to achieve. A goal. The goal of the assassins. Connor did went to visit her a few times and there was this one really interesting conversation between the two.
How is it a man like you has no wife?
I do not have the time to give a woman what she deserves. Perhaps when all this is over, I will be able to settle and have a family.
If you ever think it's time, make sure I get the first crack.
I promise.
I'm 100% certain she isn't the wife of Connor Kenway, and I cannot imagine these two having children together. Because that will mean that Dobby and Connor will have lust for each other later and develop love interest in each other. Connor ignores sounds more believable than this. But hey, that's just my opinion, so who cares? What happened to her after the events of Assassin's Creed 3? No one knows. But I do guess she kept working with the assassins for the rest of her life. If you have any suggestions or ideas or thoughts, leave them down in the comment section down below. And I hope you have a fun day or night wherever you are.